Drama's an interesting one for me because a lot of the things I've done for Yes and for other people were essentially fantastical in what they were. And I wanted to do something for drama that was dramatic but contained no fantastic element whatsoever.
Okay.
And it didn't. There's nothing in drama that you couldn't see in the world today.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they've been shuffled around a bit,
Perhaps, yeah.
but it's not in any degree fantastic. And yet it's still one of my favourite paintings.
But it's still very much, I think, you can move it along through all the sleeves. It's a logical progression.
It's an odd step. It's an odd one for me. I can see that might look logical progression, but it definitely for me it was an odd one. Yeah, I love it. I love the look of it, and I thought it did look dramatic. There's a sea in southern USSR which has been drained because of the water being diverted for agricultural purposes, and you see this desert with major ships in them, and you're thinking, it looks like, how would a ship get out into a desert?
Yeah.
And that's in the drama, but they exist. You know, there was lots of stories and anecdotes about the world about me that went into drama, world about us that went into drama, but I very consciously made sure there was nothing that was not from the world. When I did Fragile, I was looking for a lettering that looked like it may have come on this ancient document.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So I wasn't trying to do any branding for the band. I never thought that way anyway. But when I'd finished it, I did think it would be a very cool thing to have a way of saying yes that was forever unique.
Yeah.
And I played with that idea. So when I went to see them when they were doing Close to the Edge, because back in the day, you know, albums would come out maybe twice a year, so it wasn't like waiting for 10 years before their next album. It was very quick, and I went in with an idea for Close to the Edge, which was the painting, and I had no notion that the painting wouldn't be the cover.
Right.
But when I showed them the logo, they were very keen to have just that on the cover.
Yeah.
And that was very flattering to me, because it could have been just that on the painting.
Yeah.
Because the painting had space to contain the logo.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they didn't want anything interfering with that logo. And it made an incredible yes statement. So it was very good. And then you open it up, and then, wow, there's that. Well, actually, I don't know that I was any different to any other kid at school, as a matter of fact. My dad was Army, so I went to 16 schools. Some of them I did disastrously at art, and some of them apparently I did okay. But we finally came to England in 1959, and I went to Ashford Grammar School. And I think the notion of going to art school, what appealed to me, what really turned me on, was the idea of designing the future. And I used to, you know, at school draw tanks and guns and ships and futuristic cities. So I think partly because they thought I could do that and that didn't satisfy me. What the fuck function meant we had to live in a box. Mm-hmm. And from there I got aimed at Le Corbusier. And Corbusier was not a philosopher of design. He was a communist, and his notions were basically that the butcher, the baker and the banker should live in identical boxes. It was a political statement, nothing to do with people. So cutting long story short, I got into the Royal College of Art, and I was allowed to pursue research into the psychology of the built environment, with some skepticism at first and then gradually a lot of support. So I got my master's degree in the psychology of the built environment. And I was doing, at the time, I did that within the confines of the furniture school. I say confines, but David Pye was a tremendous design philosopher, and he gave me a lot of leeway. And I designed a chair that got a lot of publicity, called the Sea Urchin chair. And on the basis of that, I was asked by Form International if I would design the interior of Ronnie Scott's Jazz Club. And whilst doing the interior of Ronnie Scott's Jazz Club, Pete King and Ronnie Scott were being very nice about it, and I showed them my sketchbook about what it might be. And as they were flicking through, they saw a painting and said, "Oh, can we use that for an album cover?" And that was for a band called The Gum. They just had a hit with Race with the Devil, and briefly, I think for 5 days, John Anderson sang with them.
Yeah.
So that was 1968 when I did my first album cover. I got an incredibly nice, enthusiastic response from Phil Carson at Atlantic in Europe. And he said, "I'd love to have you do stuff for me, but I only have 2 bands, Led Zeppelin and Yes." But he did call me very soon after that and say, go and talk to the band. They're in Advision. So I did. We got on very well. And out of that meeting came the Fragile project.